The Math Center presents Percentage Problems. In this presentation, we'll talk about how to interpret and solve word problems that involve percentages. Before you begin this module, you should make sure that you understand how to convert between percentages and decimals. If you need to review the process, please see our video on converting between percentages and decimals. Let's start with a simple example. Here is a true statement involving a percentage. 26 is 13% of 200. We can translate this statement into an equation. An equation is a sort of mathematical sentence. When we do this, we get 26 equals 0.13 times 200. How did the translation work? Notice what we did. We interpret is as is equal to and use an equal sign. And we convert 13% to a decimal form, which is 0.13. The word of indicates that we should multiply. We'll use the same method when we have an unknown value in our percent problem. Suppose we were asked, what is 48% of 250? Before we start our calculations, we should translate this question into the language of mathematics. The word what implies that we have an unknown. We'll call our unknown x. Remember that is means is equal to, so it will become an equal sign. We must change the percent notation to decimal notation. Finally, the word of means that we will have to multiply. In words, we have what is 48% of 250. In the language of mathematics, we have x equals 0.48 times 250. This means that in order to solve for x, we multiply 0.48 and 250. When we do this, we see that x equals 120. Therefore, we would answer the question by saying 120 is 48% of 250. Sometimes percent equation questions are phrased in different ways. Let's explore some examples where that happens. What percent of 35 is 7? Following the same rules, we can translate this question into the language of mathematics. The word what shows us that we have an unknown. Again, we will choose to call it x. The word of tells us to multiply. Is will be written as an equal sign. So in the language of mathematics, we have x times 35 equals 7. We can rewrite this equation as 35x equals 7. To solve for x, we must isolate it. Since x is being multiplied by 35, we must do the opposite operation. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we will divide both sides of the equation by 35. On the left side, the 35's cancel, and we're just left with x. On the right side, we have 7 divided by 35. You can put this in your calculator, and you're left with x equals 0.2. 0.2 is in decimal form. To convert this to percent, move the decimal over 2 places, and we get x equals 20%. To answer the question, we would say 20% of 35 is 7. Let's look at another type of phrasing for these problems. Suppose you were asked, 12 is 30% of what number? In the language of mathematics, this becomes 12 equals 0.3 times x. We know that we will have to divide both sides of the equation by 0.3 in order to solve for x. When we do this, the 0.3's cancel on the right side, so we're just left with x. On the left, we end up with 12 divided by 0.3. Enter this into your calculator, and you end up with x equals 40. So we would say 12 is 30% of 40. Thank you for watching this presentation on percentage problems.